That's why the second action I'm taking is calling on states to either suspend the state gas tax as well or find other ways to deliver some relief. State gas taxes average 30 cents per gallon. Already, some states have acted. In Connecticut and New York, the governors have temporarily suspended their gas tax as well. In Illinois and Colorado, governors delayed theirs to give families a bit more breathing room as well. In Minnesota, Governor Walz proposes using state budget surpluses to give households a rebate that will help them pay for gas at the pump or other essential needs. I'm calling on more states and local governments to take actions like these. Thanks to our historic economic recovery, which fortified state budgets that had been hurt in the pandemic, states are now in a strong position to be able to afford to take some of these actions. Now, I fully understand that a gas tax holiday alone is not going to fix the problem, but it will provide families some immediate relief, just a little bit of breathing room as we continue working to bring down prices for the long haul. Third, I'm calling on the industry to refine more oil into gasoline and to bring down gas prices. Let me explain. I know my Republican friends claim we're not producing enough oil and I'm limiting oil production. Quite frankly, that's nonsense. Here's the truth. Just this month, America produced 12 million barrels of oil per day. That's the highest, that's higher than average under my predecessor. And we're on track to set a new record for production next year. Plus, I've added to that supply of oil by releasing a record 1 million barrels of oil per day from what's called the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. In fact, I just led the world to coordinate the largest release of global oil reserves in history, including from other countries. In total, that's 240 million barrels to boost global supply. And Republicans falsely claim that I'm blocking production on federal lands. But again, that's nonsense. Industry has more approved permits for production on federal lands than they can possibly use. That's a fact. My administration also directed the sale of gasoline using homegrown biofuels, ethanol, E15, this summer, which will boost gasoline supplies and lower the price at thousands of gas stations across America. And I welcome the recent announcement from what's known as the OPEC Plus, a group of nearly 24 oil-producing nations, to increase global oil supply. The bottom line is we are setting records in terms of American energy production. We're supplementing that supply with the release from our oil reserves. So the issue isn't oil production alone. The problem is the refining of that oil into gas at the pump. During the pandemic, some oil and gas companies shut down refining facilities. Last week, I sent a letter to the CEOs of the largest oil refining companies asking them to work with my administration to bring refineries back online to get more gas to the pump at lower prices. The Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, and members of my team will be meeting with many of these refining companies tomorrow. And I hope they'll come up to the table with some real ideas and practical steps in the near term. And I'm prepared to act quickly and decisively on the recommendations if they make sense to address the immediate challenge in front of us and the American people. Finally, when the cost of oil does come down, we need the price at the gas stations that they charge at the pump to come down as well. For example, in the last 2 weeks, the price of oil has fallen by more than $10 a barrel. Normally, this would reduce the cost at the pump about 25 cents a gallon. Yet, so far, gas stations have only reduced prices by a few cents a gallon. Some haven't reduced prices at all. I've heard plenty of explanations from companies and economists about why it normally takes time for these price reductions to reach the consumer. I might note that when the price of a barrel of oil goes up, it doesn't take much time for the price at the pump to go up. So let's be honest with one another. My message is simple. To the companies running gas stations and setting those prices at the pump, This is a time of war, global peril, Ukraine. These are not normal times. Bring down the price you are charging at the pump to reflect the cost you are paying for the product. Do it now. Do it today. Your customers, the American people, they need relief now. So let me summarize. Today I'm calling for a federal gas tax holiday, state gas tax holiday for the equivalent relief to customers, oil companies to use their profits to increase refining capacity rather than buy back their own stock, gas stations to pass along the decree, not the decree, but the decrease in oil prices to lower prices at the pump. And together, these actions could help drop the price at the pump by up to $1 a gallon or more. It doesn't reduce all the pain, but it would be a big help. I'm doing my part. I want the Congress, the states, and the industry to do their part as well. And let's remember how we got here. Putin invaded Ukraine. Putin invaded Ukraine with 100,000 forces. Just look at the facts. Since the start of the war in Ukraine this year, gas prices have risen by almost $2 a gallon in the United States and sometimes more around the world. But it wasn't just Putin's invasion of Ukraine. It was the refusal of the United States and the rest of the free world to let Putin get away with something we haven't seen since World War II. I said at the time, siding with Ukraine during the most serious aggression in Europe since World War II, defending freedom, defending democracy, was not going to go without cost for the American people and the rest of the free world. We were going to have to pay a price as well in the cost of military equipment, economic assistance, humanitarian relief, and sanctioned Russian banking industries. Russia is also one of the largest oil producers in the world. We cut off Russian oil into the United States, and our partners in Europe did the same, knowing that we would see higher gas prices. We could have turned a blind eye to Putin's murderous ways. The price of gas wouldn't have spiked the way it has. I believe that would have been wrong. I believe then, and I believe now, the free world had no choice. America could not stand by, and the West could not have stood by, although some suggested at the time, and just watch Putin's tanks roll in Ukraine and seize a sovereign country. If we did stand by, Putin wouldn't have stopped. Putin would have kept going, and we'd face an even steeper price. And it wasn't just me. The American people understood. The American people rose to the moment. The American people did what they always have done, defend freedom around the world. They chose to stand with the people of Ukraine. We had near unanimous support in the Congress, Democrats, Republicans, and independents for supporting Ukraine, knowing full well the cost. So for all those Republicans in Congress criticizing me today for high gas prices in America, are you now saying we were wrong to support Ukraine? Are you saying we were wrong to stand up to Putin? Are you saying that we would rather have lower gas prices in America and Putin's iron fist in Europe? I don't believe that. Look, I get the easy politics of the attack. I get that. But the simple truth is gas prices are up almost $2 a gallon because of Vladimir Putin's ruthless attack on Ukraine, and we wouldn't let him get away with it. We're doing everything we can to reduce this pain at the pump now. And if those experiences have shown us anything, it's that we need to grow and harness more energy here at home. Let's lower the price of electric vehicles so we never have to pay at the pump in the first place. Major auto companies are preparing for a 50% of future sales to be electric vehicles by 2030, 100% by 2035. We're already building secure supply chains to build these electric vehicles here in America. And we're investing almost $100 billion in public transit and rail. For all the studies show that it will take millions of cars off the road and significantly reduce pollution if there's a serious transportation system available. Let's keep accelerating our deployment of homegrown resources, sources of energy like solar and wind and nuclear and hydrogen and carbon capture storage, and keep developing the battery technologies so we can store that power we need when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow. Folks, let's make sure we're never again forced to pay the price of a menacing dictator halfway around the world. We can deal with this immediate crisis of high gas prices and still seize the clean energy future. We're Americans. We can do both. We are the most qualified people in the world. Let me close with this. Even as we lead the world in defending democracy and standing up to a brutal autocrat, there are actions we can take to help American families now. We have taken them. We are taking them. The federal gas tax holiday, state gas tax holiday, bringing back refineries, putting them back online. We just have to keep going. I promise you I'm doing everything possible to bring the price of energy down, gas prices down. And I want to make sure we all work on this together. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, how will this impact the highway trust fund?